The worst part wasn't the lawsuit. It was the knock. 3 short hits on my front door. Sharp. Controlled. Like whoever was on the other side already knew how this would end. I thought it was a delivery. I was still in my work clothes, halfway through reheated coffee that tasted burned and metallic. I opened the door without thinking. That was my first stupid decision. "Ms. Whitford," the man asked. Neutral voice. Clipboard tucked under his arm. "Yeah." He handed me a thick envelope. Said, "You've been served." Just like that. Then he walked away before I could ask anything. I stood there with the paper in my hand, feeling the weight of it. Too heavy for regular mail. I knew before I opened it. I swear I knew. Civil complaint. Filed in Connecticut Superior Court. Plaintiffs Victoria Hale and Andrew Hale. My parents. Allegation undue influence, manipulation, exploitation of an elderly testator. The elderly testator being my grandfather, Justice Charles Whitford. The estate value listed in the filing $6,800,000. I laughed. Not because it was funny. It just came out. A dry, ugly sound. My name is Elena Whitford, 39 years old, Assistant District Attorney. Or at least I was, until this morning. My phone started vibrating before I even finished reading the first page. Daniel's name on the screen. I let it ring twice. Picked up. "Tell me it's not real." I said, "It's real." He replied, "No drama. Just tired." "And it's already online." Of course it was. Headline: Assistant District Attorney accused of coercing retired justice for multi-million estate. They didn't even spell my name wrong. That's how official it felt. I leaned against the wall. The hallway smelled faintly like cleaning solution and old carpet. My hands weren't shaking. That scared me more. 30 days after my grandfather's funeral. That's how long my mother waited before she decided blood mattered again. I should tell you something about how we got here. It didn't start with money. It started a lot earlier than that. They left me when I was 3 months old. That's the official version. Just for a few weeks, my mother used to say, like she was dropping off dry cleaning. I don't remember the handoff. Obviously, I remember what came after. Grandma Margaret's kitchen. The smell of butter burning because she'd get distracted laughing. Grandpa's voice calling from his office. "Elena, come argue with me." When I was 7, I asked him straight, "Why don't they live here?" He looked at me over his glasses. "Your parents have their own life, so I'm not part of it." He didn't answer right away. That was his tell. "You're part of mine." That should have been enough. It kind of was. My mother would show up maybe twice a year. Perfume first, then her voice. "Elena, sweetheart." Air kiss. No contact. Grandpa once asked her, calmly, "Are you staying for dinner?" She checked her watch. "We have reservations." With who I asked. She smiled tight. "Adults." Andrew, my father, would stand by the door. "We've got to go. Vic." Grandpa never raised his voice. "Drive safe." After they left, he'd sit at the table and say, "Justice is about showing up." I didn't understand that then. I just knew he was the one clapping at my school plays. The one at my high school graduation when my name was called and the other seat next to him stayed empty. Once. I asked my mother, "Why don't you come more?" She said, "Don't be dramatic. You ever get told you're dramatic when you're just lonely? That sticks." Anyway, by the time I turned 18, the weeks had stretched into decades, and none of us were pretending anymore. Grandma collapsed in the garden the week I turned 18. I found her on her knees, dirt pressed into her palms. The air smelled like wet soil and something metallic. I thought she'd fainted. I kept saying, "Grandma, stop playing." She wasn't playing. At the hospital. Grandpa stood straight, hands folded like he was waiting for a verdict. The doctor said, "We did everything we could." Grandpa nodded once. "Of course you did." My mother arrived 2 hours later, heels clicking. "What happened?" I stared at her. "She died." Victoria blinked. We were on the highway. We came as fast as we could. Grandpa didn't look at her. You're here now. At the funeral. Andrew checked his phone during the prayer. My mother leaned toward me. You need to be strong for your grandfather. I almost laughed. Where were you when she was alive? She stiffened. Don't start. Grandpa squeezed my hand. Not hard. Just enough. 3 days later, they left before the reception ended. That night, Grandpa sat at his desk and pulled out a yellow legal pad. I stood in the doorway. What are you doing? I asked. Documenting, he said. Documenting what he looked at me. Really looked at me. Everything. Have you ever watched someone decide they're done, hoping that was the night he stopped waiting for them? And something in me shifted too. The will reading took place in a conference room that smelled faintly like stale coffee and printer toner, too small for what it was about to hold. Daniel sat beside me. Across the table, Victoria crossed her legs like she was at a lunch meeting. Andrew stared at the carpet. The estate attorney, Mr. Halpern, cleared his throat. Justice Charles Whitford's estate is valued at approximately $6,800,000. Victoria didn't move. Just a small inhale. He continued. Primary residence in Newton Upper Falls valued at $2,100,000. Investment portfolio totaling $3,400,000. Revocable trust assets valued at $1,300,000. Then he looked at me. Elena Whitford is the sole beneficiary of the estate. Silence. Heavy. Thick. Victoria leaned forward. Excuse me, mister. Halpern adjusted his glasses. There is also a bequest of $100,000 to Victoria Hale. She smiled. Slow. Of course. He didn't smile back. Conditional upon the no contest clause. If you challenge the will, you forfeit that amount. Her face changed. Not dramatic. Just tight. That's absurd, she said. I'm his daughter. Daniel spoke before I could, and he was competent at execution. Victoria turned to me. You think you deserve all of it? I heard myself answer. He decided. Andrew finally looked up. This isn't right, mister. Halpern folded his hands. The document was executed with full capacity and witnesses. Victoria stood. We'll see about that. Have you ever watched someone choose pride over money because $100,000 wasn't small? But she chose the fight anyway. 30 days later, the envelope showed up at my door. I went back to the townhouse the night the headlines started circulating. I told Daniel I just needed to check something. That was a lie. I needed to feel like the walls still belonged to me. His study smelled faintly like old paper and the citrus cleaner he used every Sunday. The desk was exactly how he left it. Neat. Controlled. There was a leather binder on the bottom shelf, labeled in his handwriting. Support. Hale. I sat on the floor and opened it. Wire transfer confirmations, bank statements, copies of checks, every page clipped and dated, first entry business bailout, $420,000, next mortgage rescue, $310,000, then Internal Revenue Service lien settlement, $222,000, monthly transfers, family support, $520,300 over 22 years, total $1,472,300. I said the number out loud. It sounded unreal in the quiet room. My phone buzzed. Daniel, you find something he asked? Yeah. How bad? For them, I swallowed. Pretty bad. There were emails printed behind the statements. From Victoria. Dad, we just need a little more. You owe us this. You wouldn't let your daughter struggle. One message ended with, Elena doesn't understand what real life costs. I laughed at that. I was working 70-hour weeks as a prosecutor while she was asking for another $20,000. Tucked in the back was a yellow sheet from the same legal pad he'd used after Grandma died. They mistake access for love. His handwriting was steady. I pressed the paper to my forehead like that would somehow steady me too. Daniel stayed quiet on the phone. Then, "This changes everything." "No," I said. "It just proves it. I don't know why this is the part that broke me. Not the lawsuit, not the articles. This." I sat there and whispered. I still wanted her to choose me. You ever hold proof that someone loved you enough to prepare for your own parents? It doesn't feel like victory. It feels like something cracked open. The next morning, Daniel filed our response, and the fight stopped being theoretical. The blog went live at 6:30 in the morning. Assistant District Attorney accused of exploiting retired justice. No allegedly, no caution. Just my name and the word exploiting sitting next to it like they belonged together. By 8, I was in my supervisor's office. The coffee on his desk smelled burned. He didn't offer me any. "Elena," he said, not meeting my eyes. "This has traction. It's a probate dispute. It's a credibility issue." That landed harder. "I haven't been charged," I said. "The Judicial Review Council opened a preliminary inquiry." I felt that in my stomach. Inquiry sounds polite. It isn't. "Is this political?" I asked. "It's procedural," he said. "And you're off the Benton case effective immediately. That's 2 years of work." "I know." He finally looked at me, not angry, careful. "You understand why?" I nodded. I didn't agree, but I understood. In the hallway, one of the junior attorneys avoided my eyes. Another said, "Hey," too quickly. I swear the air felt different. Daniel called before I made it home. They retained an expert, he said. A neuropsychologist. Grief impairment theory. Convenient. I said. He hesitated. "They're offering to settle." "For how much?" $2 million? Confidential? No admission? And they still keep the story. They dropped the case. I stood in my kitchen, staring at the sink. There was a sour smell from a dish I'd left too long. "I could make this stop," I said. "You could." Silence stretched. "If I pay them." What does that say? "If I don't." What does that cost? "I'm not buying back my own name," I said finally. Daniel exhaled. "Okay." The noise didn't get quieter after that. It just got clearer. The deposition room felt tight. No windows. Just the hum of the recorder and the scratch of the court reporter's keys. Victoria sat straight, hands folded, calm, controlled, like this was beneath her. Daniel leaned forward. "Mrs. Hale, when did you last see your father in person?" We spoke frequently. She said, "In person." A pause. 3 years. 3 years without visiting. We had obligations. What obligations required you to request $240,000 during that same period? Daniel asked. Her eyes sharpened. Those were gifts. Requested gifts, he corrected, including $420,000 for your husband's failing business. Andrew shifted beside her. It wasn't failing. Daniel didn't look at him. And $222,000 to resolve a federal tax lien. Victoria inhaled slowly. He wanted to help. Did he ever refuse you silence? "Mrs. Hale?" "No." Daniel turned a page. "Did Elena ever prevent you from visiting?" Victoria's eyes flicked toward me. "No." "Did she control your father's access to his finances?" "No." Daniel's voice softened. Then what exactly was her undue influence? Victoria's jaw tightened. For a second, she looked tired, older. She was always there, she said. He listened to her. "That's not influence." Daniel replied, "That's presence." Victoria leaned forward suddenly. "You think he didn't compare us? You think he didn't hold me up against her?" The room shifted. "I was his daughter," she said quietly this time. "I deserved more than she did. Not anger, not hysteria, just belief." Andrew reached for her arm. She pulled away. Daniel closed his folder. "No further questions." "In the hallway," he said. "That wasn't entitlement. That was resentment." I nodded. It felt heavier than motive. It felt like history. Trial day wasn't theatrical. No gasps, just the scrape of chairs and the low hum of the courtroom lights. Mr. Latham stood first, Your Honor. Justice Whitford was grieving, a widower in decline. My client was edged out by a granddaughter who inserted herself into every decision. Inserted? Daniel didn't react. Call your first witness. The forensic psychologist took the stand. Mr. Latham began. Can prolonged grief affect cognitive judgment? Yes. It can impair decision-making. Daniel stepped up. You never examined Justice Whitford personally. No. You never met him. No. You reviewed summaries prepared by plaintiff's counsel. She hesitated. Yes. Daniel handed her a file. Neurological evaluations from 6 months before the will execution. Independent testing. No impairment. Are you disputing these? She adjusted her glasses. No. So your opinion is hypothetical. It is based on possibility, not evidence, Daniel said. Mr. Latham objected. Argumentative. The judge nodded once. Sustained. Move on. Next came the accountant. Were the transfers to the Hales documented? Daniel asked. Yes. Were any marked as loans? No. All voluntary gifts. Mr. Latham tried to frame it as manipulation through access. Daniel cut in. Did Justice Whitford ever express financial confusion? Never. Then Daniel approached the bench with the sealed envelope. This was lodged with the estate attorney at execution, to be opened only upon contest. The judge read silently first. His expression didn't change. Then he read aloud, If this letter is before you, it means my daughter chose court over conversation. My estate reflects my deliberate intent. Elena did not influence me. She remained present. Mr. Latham rose. A letter is not dispositive. It's not, the judge said evenly. But it is consistent with the evidence. Daniel turned to Victoria. Did Elena block your access to your father? No. Did she control his accounts? No. Then what did she do? Victoria's voice was low. She replaced me. The room went still. Daniel didn't push further. He didn't need to. For the first time, this wasn't about money in that courtroom. It was about absence, and it was no longer mine to defend. The judge didn't rush it. He adjusted his glasses, looked at both tables. The court finds no evidence of undue influence. He said evenly, Justice Whitford was competent. The will stands. Victoria's breath caught, not loud, just sharp. The no contest clause is valid. The judge continued, By filing this action, the plaintiffs forfeit the $100,000 bequest. Andrew muttered, That's not fair. The judge didn't look at him. Legal fees are awarded to the defendant. Mr. Latham leaned toward Victoria, whispering. She didn't whisper back. She stared at me. Elena, she said quietly, like we were alone in a kitchen. We could have handled this privately. I answered before I could soften it. You filed it publicly. Andrew stood abruptly. You're destroying this family. I almost laughed. We don't have one. The judge rose. Court is adjourned. The gavel hit once. Clean. Outside. Daniel exhaled. It's over. Is it, though? My phone buzzed minutes later. An email from the Judicial Review Council. Preliminary inquiry closed. No misconduct found. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt tired. Victoria didn't approach me again. She just walked past, close enough that I could smell her perfume. Same as always. Nothing about her had changed. Something about me had. 5 years later, I stood at a different bench. Judge Whitford. The clerk called. I still pause half a second before answering. 45 years old. Probate division. Nothing historic about it. Just time and work. 2 brothers argued in front of me. She promised me the house, one said. She changed her mind, the other replied. You were never around. I let that sit. Promises are not plans, I said finally. This court follows documents. They didn't like that. Most people don't. After court, I stopped by the old townhouse. It's not mine anymore. The Margaret and Charles Whitford Presence Fund runs there now. Scholarships, real students, real bills. A young woman shook my hand. Your grandfather's name means something here. It should, I said. He showed up. On the drive home. My phone lit up. Unknown number, Connecticut area code. I watched it ring out. Here's the truth. And I'm not dressing it up. Winning in court doesn't fix the past. It just clarifies it. Some people love you in the way they're capable of. Sometimes that's not enough. If you've spent your life trying to earn love that was supposed to be yours already. Stop. Not dramatically. Not angrily. Just stop. I don't know if I'd answer if she called again. I just know I don't need to. That's enough for now.